Alrighty then. We asked 1,000 people to rate their attractiveness from 1 to 10. If I gave me an attractiveness rating, I'd give me a 4. Anyways, this is by Shiro Protocol. We'll look at it. We'll look at it. Let's go.
How attractive do you think you are on a scale from 1 to 10? We have asked 1,000 people this exact question. But there's a problem. Most people asked on camera will say,
I'm a 10. All of us are 10.
10.
You're not a 10. None of y'all 10s. How could you give yourself a 10? You're not perfect. There is room for improvement.
Ew, wait a minute.
So we wanted to find a way to get real honest answers. That's why we created our anonymous survey asking 1,000 people to rate their appearance as honestly as possible from 1 to 10. To get real results, we also reminded them to keep in mind that a 5 out of 10 is the average score and not bad at all. We then collected each person's age and gender, so we could compare the different groups later. And finally, for reference, we also asked each participant to rate this person in the photo from 1 to 10, which will play an important
5? 5. Yeah, I'd say 5 or 6. 4 is crazy. No, it's not. I'm just being realistic. I'm just being realistic. No woman that isn't the frog would walk past me and be like, yeah, that's a hottie. No woman would do that.
Later in the video. After collecting data for about 2 months, we finally hit the goal of 1,000 participants. And the results were so much different from all the public street interviews you always see. Out of exactly 589 men and 411 women, the most common answer, as you might have guessed, was 7 out of 10. Nearly 20% of all participants picked this number. For many, it's probably the safe zone. Not arrogant, but above average. On the other hand, 98 people called themselves exactly average by rating themselves a 5 out of 10. And then there's the bottom of the scale. 45 people gave themselves the lowest possible score.
That could be me. Like 1, 2, 3, and 4, that could be me in any order. The guy is a 6.5 to 7 easy. He looks just fine, average. But 7 isn't average, you moron. 5 is average. 7 isn't average. 7 is above average.
1 out of 10. Most of them were men, by the way. More on that later. Now let's look at the opposite side. 71 people gave themselves a perfect 10. That means 7% of the 1,000 participants believe they are basically the most attractive of them all. The rest of the scores are spread out in the middle range, resulting in an average score of 6.3 out of 10. In total, 678 participants gave themselves a 6 or higher. That means nearly 70% of people think they are better looking than average, which is mathematically impossible, but psychologically totally expected. A study from the University of Southampton, England actually gave this behavior a name, the self-enhancement effect. It's a
And what is it for people that rate themselves below? 5 is literally average. 5 out of 10 is literally average. 5 is literally the middle. 5, well, in the middle, that's not average. Yes, it is. 5 is average. It's in the middle. 5 is average. Woman, what are you talking about? 5 is the middle.
Tendency to overestimate your own qualities, especially regarding attractiveness. But theory aside, we wanted to test this directly. That's why every participant also had to rate the attractiveness of the reference person we included. As you can see, his ratings were all over the place. 18 people gave him a 1 out.
And people agree with me. 5 and 6 are the highest. People agree with me. Hi Dream One, how you doing? Hope you're doing good. Hello, I'll give you 10. 10 hits to the face. I am German. You know what's going on with my DNA, right? You know that, huh? You know that. Just saying.
Of 10, while 59 others gave him a 10. On average, he received a 5.8 out of 10. And if you paid attention, you might have noticed something. That's lower than the average self-rating of our participants. In fact, 654 participants out of 1,000 rated themselves higher than they rated the reference person. That's 2 out of 3 people who think they are more attractive than him. To put this into perspective, we had the face of our reference person professionally analyzed. We will spare you the full report, but it's linked in the description. We concluded that the sample person rates somewhere between a 6.0 and a 6.1. That means statistically he should be more attractive than about 70% of participants. But in reality, our participants thought it was exactly the other way around, proving that the self-enhancement effect was very much present in our small experiment. But the ratings of the reference person also revealed something else that's really important. Looks are incredibly subjective. 18 people rated him a 1 out of 10, while 59 others gave him a 10, believing he's one of the most attractive people out there. You simply can't be everyone's type. And honestly, you're not supposed to be. No matter how you look, there will always be someone out there that sees you as a perfect 10 out of 10, even if 999 others don't. Okay, what's also really interesting is the differences between female and male participants.
Yeah, women would rate themselves higher than men. That's not surprising. Give myself a 4 or 5 for myself. My saving grace is basically in my economic status. Basically, I mean the amount of money I have, my hobbies with animals, and overall what I bring to the table. Yeah, that makes sense.
We had exactly 589 male participants with an average score of 5.9 out of 10, and 411 female participants averaging a score of 6.9 out of 10. But here's where the results completely surprised us. Out of the male participants, only 28 rated themselves a perfect 10 out of 10. In contrast, 43 female participants also gave themselves a perfect score. In relation, that means just 5% of men rated themselves at the very top, while over 10% of women did the same, meaning that they were more than twice as likely as men to rate themselves a perfect 10. Additionally, the total average score of the woman was also nearly 1 whole point higher. And we're not alone with this finding. A 2018 study titled "Almost Every Woman Thinks She's Hotter Than Average," yes, that's the actual title, found that 94% of women believe they are more attractive.
Which is accurate, yeah. That is accurate. 94%. That doesn't look good for a certain someone in my chat.
Than the average woman. But why? The most common theory explaining this phenomenon is called the social feedback loop. Women usually tend to get way more positive feedback and praise about their looks. This kind of overly positive feedback, combined with the self-enhancement effect, could explain the significant differences in 10 out of 10 ratings we saw in our experiment between male and female participants. But how about the lowest score? In total, 45 people rated themselves a 1 out of 10, which statistically speaking...
No, stop throwing yourself pity parties, it's fine. No one is expecting to be, I don't know, Henry Cavill. But that's exactly what they're expecting. That's exactly what they're expecting. What do you mean, nobody? That's exactly what that is. Wait, what is this even about? Looks. People rating their attractiveness.
Speaking is also pretty unrealistic. But here's the really interesting part. Of those 45 people, 34 were men, and only 11...
Accurate. Yeah, this makes sense, not gonna lie. Yeah, that makes sense.
11 were women. Even in relation, that means that men are twice as likely to rate themselves at the very bottom. But again, why? It might have a lot to do with body image pressure. The fitness industry, Instagram aesthetics, and the whole high-value male culture constantly push the idea that you need to be tall, shredded, rich, with a perfect face, or you don't measure up. And while women often tend to get more external validation and compliments, men sadly tend to suffer in silence. Which might explain why so many guys in our survey felt like they were at the bottom, even when that statistically and visually not even close to the truth.
Yeah, and that's why we have a significant increase in short men inserting metal rods into their legs. Yeah, fun fact, this is one of the biggest booming upcoming beauty or surgery industries, leg lengthening surgery. It's becoming bigger and bigger by the week.
Okay, you might remember that we also asked the participants to give us their age, just to see if there are any differences. But we didn't expect the results to be so drastically different. We divided the participants into 3 age groups: 15 to 20 years old, 21 to 30 years old, and 31 years and older. Can you guess which group had the highest average score? The lowest is the score of the youngest age group, being just 5.2 out of 10. In the middle, we have the 21 to 30 year olds, averaging a 6.1 out of 10. And the 31 years and older scored the highest average at 7.3 out of 10. As you might have noticed, the older the participants were, the higher they rated themselves. But why is that? Younger generations have grown up in a world where every face is filtered and every body retouched. Everything is just a highlight reel from someone else's life, not reality. And over time, that destroys your self-image. The younger you are, the more you tend to compare your looks to others. But as people get older, looks usually play a smaller role in how we see ourselves.
Yeah, because the looks fade away, right? They're not gonna stay. So that makes sense. No one should feel feel they are one. Well, I felt like it actually was worse than a 1. Like, unsavable. I genuinely don't understand why people even stress themselves about this. Well, think about it like this. A lot of people still want partners, right? That's just the truth. A lot of people still want partners, still want families. And the problem is that you get bombarded on a daily basis by each other's expectations. Men more so than women, right? Like, you see these absurd clips of, like, women being like, over 1 million. Like, I don't know if you've seen the video of that blonde-haired hamburger being like, over 1 million. Making money and stuff. So that makes sense. Teen least confidence, max 31 plus. They are over the shit, true. But yeah, it's pretty much just that. That's why men rank themselves also lower.
Confidence starts to come from other things, like caring for people you love. So that concludes the experiment we've been running over the past 3 months. If you appreciate the work and time we put into this, then please leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to understand how others actually perceive your face, check out our website link below. There you can get a professional facial analysis and a science-based transformation protocol tailored specifically to you. We will analyze your face shape, your hairline, the depth of your eye bags, your skin complexion, and 30 more metrics to help you become the best looking version of yourself. So check out the first link in the description.
Bro, trying to sell this thing, their counterparts to these people as well. There it goes both ways. Yeah, but one side is way worse than the other. One side is way worse than the other. One side is significantly worse than the other. Because, like, women are bombarded with, like, affirmations. Men are not. You will see no video about a man being like, yes, you go, king. You are a beast. You are you don't need to change. You are the best thing ever. You're a hot shit. No man makes videos like that for affirmations. That does not happen. That does not happen. That just does not happen. So that's how this happens, right? That's how these different ratings for, like, men and women are happening. That's why women overestimate and when men underestimate. Simple. That's from what I can tell. Anyways, that's interesting. I'm still a 4 or 3. I'm still a 4 or 3. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe.